This is Cognitive Compass.
We're here to inform and support families and caregivers who are living and working in the world of dementia.
I'm your host, Veronica.
And I'm Edith. This is Cognitive Compass.
So we're going to talk about dementia versus normal aging. And Edith, I am in menopause, so I don't know if it's dementia half the time or normal aging, which this does not feel normal, but the brain fog and the constant memory loss has me a little skeptical right now. Can you talk to us about dementia versus normal aging? Because a lot of families are like, oh no, it's just her normal aging. And we find out that it's more.
Right.
So let's talk about that.
Menopause, pregnancy, some cancer approaches, chemotherapy, post-surgery, right? Post-op. All those things can affect us for a while, the fog you mentioned. Aging right around 45-ish, things start to change, and maybe we, here's my example. I get up, I'm watching some sort of show on TV, and I get up, and I'm going to go into the kitchen to get a drink, right? I'm going to get some water, get the glass, get the water. And, of course, something always draws my attention, right? And, oh, well, let me put this away, or, let me. So I do maybe 3 or 4 other little things, and then I go back in, and I'm like, oh, I forgot the water. This is part of my life now, right? Every day. So here's an example that I like to use. Looking for words. What is her name? Oh, what is that? Oh, right, Sally Field. She was in that great movie. What is that movie? Those are all expected. I would love to say misplacing things, but I started that at 18. My mother bought me the world's biggest keychain because she said, here, because you're always losing your keys, right?
And you still lost it.
So I did. I still lost it. Those sorts of things. Sometimes, too, and this one's a little bit, we don't talk about it too much, is you and I have known each other for a long time, so we're going to recognize each other, period, no matter where we are. But maybe you're my doc. And I only see you a couple of times a year, and then I see you out there in the real world, and I know I should know you, but I can't get your name out of. So that can kind of happen. A quick way to decide should I be worried or shouldn't I be is, can I use the same things in my world that I always did? Do I know how to use the phone? Do I know how to pump gas? Do I know the difference between the remote control for the television and the remote control for the fan and my cell phone? If you lay them beside each other, they all kind of look the same. Are my bills being paid on time? Are they being paid correctly with the correct amount?
Medication management.
Oh, yeah. Am I taking my meds correctly and at the time, correctly, period?
Yes.
Do I know what they're for?
Right.
And I run into this often with older folks. They're like, oh, I don't know, I just take them. No. It's critically important for our folks, for anybody to know that that little blue pill is for my thyroid. Because someday you might end up with a different color, which is a different dose, right? I have personal experience with that. Pharmacy, unknown to me, switched out a medication that I was taking for an increased amount. It looked exactly the same, except there was a different marking on the pill. And I didn't notice it because I've been taking that medicine for a while. And I ended up in serious trouble, right? So it's important to know what your medication looks like. Read that label every time. That was my fault. I didn't read the label. It was clearly marked different,
and
right?
we were creatures of habit, right?
Right, we are. And we get reliant on what we think we know. But the day my brother-in-law, who was an executive and he was in his mid-50s, called home and said to his wife, I don't know how to use the gas pump. I'm at the gas. I don't know how to get the pump to work. That's when we think, okay, let me get to someone who's qualified to do some testing. Doesn't have to be a neurologist. So getting lost in familiar places. Now, I have a little bit of a giggly story about that. I was driving home from my sister's fairly recently, and I got to a very frequently traveled intersection back back 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was so changed, I was a little disoriented. Like, oh, saw the road signs and went, oh my gosh, this place is built up. And so maybe if I was younger, I would have processed it quickly and gone, wow, this has changed. But at first it was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
right? So our brains process a little bit more slowly as well. Things that we did the best, like talking, we'll continue to talk, right? You might see a little bit of circumlocution, isn't that a fancy word? Where, and my godmother's example is classic. We can't remember the word for an object, and what she said to her daughter was, go get me the jumper up and downer.
Jumper up and down.
Yeah, and to put it in context, she was baking. And in our family, the word thing is, right? And so Mary Rose, the daughter, is like, well, what are you talking about? She goes, the thing. This went back and forth. And so finally Mary Rose said, Ma, give me another clue. And she said, the jumper up and downer. She wanted the nut chopper.
Oh.
In our family, to this day, we call it a jumper up and downer.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
In that big box where the cold things are.
Yeah.
Right? So if you see that happening more and more, if you see things being put together oddly, an example is, well, nobody will let me have desserts anymore. We drive by Krispy Kreme and I never get to go in. And I was told if I get a Krispy Kreme, they're just going to run over it with the car. Each one of those factors is based in reality, but when you put them together, it's like that doesn't bear any resemblance to reality or even a valid story. It's like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right.
So normal aging, expect slowing down. And I like to say, too, our brains are so full of so much information now, it takes longer to find it, right?
Yeah.
Expect slowing down, expect some forgetting, expect to not bounce back if you do have to have surgery with general anesthesia. You might take you a little longer. I remember one of our medical directors of a memory disorder clinic, he had surgery, and by his own admission, 6 weeks later, he was still struggling with some brain fog. When you forget what something is for, when you get lost in a familiar place, when you have a measurable personality change, either way, either the person's always been sweet and now they're grouchy and cranky and snipey, or they've always been a little difficult and now they're just so appreciative and loving and kind. As much as we appreciate that, it could be an indication that things are changing.
Things have changed.
How are they dressing? Are they wearing clean clothes? Are they wearing clothes that are appropriate for the weather? Are they coming out of the bedroom with 3 or 4 shirts on and maybe no trousers? Right? Those kinds of things. Right.
Or they're forgetting to. Recently, I had someone who she was driving, but she could not remember to click the garage door opener, so she drove into her garage because she could not remember what was I supposed to do. So
in our family, we have fortunately, very, very best of luck, the person understood. But the last time they drove, they didn't know how to unlock the door to get out in the Florida heat. It's like, okay, we need to not do this anymore. We'll take you wherever you need to go. And we do, right? Golf carts are another story. Those are different. But things like that. Not remembering how to do an everyday thing. The book, and I never saw the movie, but the book Still Alice, I would strongly recommend that everyone read that for probably one of the most graceful depictions of what happens in a brain, but also in a family. And Still Alice, she always made apple pie for, I believe it was Thanksgiving. And it was in her head. The recipe was in her head. And she couldn't make it that year and had a wicked meltdown, right? So it's those kinds of things. One family realized that something was really up when Mom drove home from church but took her much longer than they expected her to. And when they went to help her bring in her groceries, which was her excuse for being late, they saw that the ice cream that she'd bought was a complete puddle. So they knew that she had been driving around trying to find her home. We did a focus group years ago with Lisa Eid. She's Lisa Sonneborn now. She was the one that brought it together. And the number one thing that all the neurologists and other medical doctor level people at that table said is driving has to stop much sooner than it does. Because, and you hear families say that, right? All he does, this is a true story, is he goes out of the driveway, he makes a left, he goes down to the corner, makes a right, and then turns in and plays bingo.
Yep. But eventually, that's gonna...
Until the day he got redirected by the police because there was an accident. And they found him 3 days later, dead in a little wooded area with his bingo bag.
Yeah.
Driving needs to stop much sooner, right?
Exactly.
It's a whole nother topic.
No, I know. Actually, that's a good topic that we'll
dig into it a little more.
We'll dig into that.
Yeah, 'cause there's some good resources, and the reality is there aren't great resources, but there's some good resources.
I know. How do changes in behavior, personality, and all that? So, like, we talked about some memory loss, right? Part of the dementia if you start seeing memory loss. But what about behaviors? Like if they have like frontal temporal lobe, sometimes they lose their filter, right?
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about the behaviors that maybe can be a warning sign as well.
Absolutely. You make a good point. There's the frontal temporal dementias. There's three right now. There's 3 types of those. And we're starting to see more and more understanding that Lewy body and Parkinson's disease are just a meld, right? I recently listened to a webinar and was pretty astonished to learn that the criteria to differentiate the two, Lewy body and Parkinson's, was just arbitrary. Doctors just kind of said, okay, this is going to be this and that's going to be that. There's no clinical underpinning, right? And of course, there's various types of Alzheimer's disease, right? 3 with the so, and we always think, oh, forgetfulness, or they don't remember. That almost never happens with frontal temporal, right? And it doesn't always happen right away or even continuously with vascular or with Lewy body, right? So is the person more quiet?
They don't want you to catch on.
Yeah, and watch them, look at them. I can see in a family member's eyes the confusion.
Right.
I'm thinking in particular when I said, here's the spaghetti sauce you wanted, and it was total blank, right? Just couldn't follow that. So is the person more withdrawn? Do they still want to participate? They want to be there when company comes or when you're playing cards, but do they just, I've got a little headache, I'm going to sit out today. Are they making explanations? I don't like the word excuses. They're explaining why they've changed. Did they stop going to church? Or did they slow down their frequency of going to church? Have they pulled away from things they normally do? Food tastes change, right? Again, perceptions, things change, our senses change. Do they change the way they're eating, what they're eating, how they're eating, how frequently? Are they eating more than they ever did of the ice cream? And I pick on sweets because, boy, they can be real culprits. Or are they not eating? Are they showing aversions to things they used to like, texture-wise or color? You know, chocolate pudding's a classic to pick on, right? Are they interacting in ways, and we talk about the babies in our world now, but is that baby bringing a source of joy, or are they startling and jumping, and they really, you can tell they don't want that, they don't want to be with that child, because children are boisterous, and they're loud, they're unpredictable, right? And that's not. Is there a bit of a system where none was? Like, no, I need my water to be right here. And you think, well, okay, but you're putting it there, but we're going to be over here. No, I need it to be right here. Is there that rule-following rigidity of certain things? Like, you can't wear that top with that. You need to put a white one on, right? Those are all behavioral type of indications and changes. Responses to the environment is what it really is. In a group setting where they once flourished, and I think of holiday season, right? We always went to Millennium Mall and had lunch and looked at the decorations. And I'm telling you, we had to leave after 5 minutes because they absolutely were they were shaking. They were nervous. So we had to go. It was too much. How do they respond in a group setting, even with people they know?
Right.
Again, are they pulling away? Are they not doing, some people, go back to the pie, right? There's some people in my family, if you had a group setting, Thanksgiving or whatever, they brought this pie, period, until they couldn't make the pie right, right? So those are the kinds of things we look for. Don't just dismiss the fact that, oh, it was a one-off. She's made that pie for 55 years, right?
Yeah. What I get a lot is, well, my mom or dad, my person, is not like them. They only sundown between 4 p.m. and 4 a.m. So they only have dementia between that time.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And I have to explain to them, they don't have dementia at that time. They have dementia all the time.
All the time.
And it's not going away.
Right.
It's just they're a little more confused during that time.
Not going away is critical. Speaking of social media, I honestly can't remember where it was. Maybe it was on Reddit, but it was a discussion about the dementias. And someone actually posted that if you did these things, you could cure Alzheimer's disease. We still have that nonsense going around.
Yeah.
Trust me, if there were a true cure, we'd all know about it. I mean, the closest we've come to really interrupting it is the Kinsulas and the Lekembis, and people do their best to use that in the right time. There's not a cure.
Right.
They are terminal diseases that will steadily progress to the end,
Yeah.
barring unforeseen incidents.
Exactly. Well, again, thank you again for this conversation. I loved it as usual. Thank you to our audience for watching, and hopefully they can give us some more ideas of what they'd like for us to talk about.
Oh, yeah. What do you want to know about?
What do you want to know?
And if we don't have the answer, we'll find it.
Exactly. We have plenty of resources.
Yes.
So thank you again. We'll see you soon.
Take care.